So hey everyone, and welcome to the first episode of Life with Iain and Rosie. I am Ian Campbell, the professional bodyboarder, and this is Rosie.
I'm Rosie. I am a English teacher, recovering anorexic, 4 years now, and this is basically our life.
So today we wanted to just kind of get started, introduce you guys to us, and just explain kind of how we got to where we are right now, because we've been dating in June. It will be 4 years.
Oh, good job.
So we just wanted to kind of like explain exactly how our relationship started, and basically what we've been doing for the last 4 years, and how we've kind of been able to live together for 3.5 out of the 4 years, which is pretty crazy. Basically just at the beginning, I guess.
Yeah, so anybody who would know us or does know us knows that our relationship has definitely not been a normal one. I mean,
Far from it.
I knew what I was getting into with Ian, and everybody kind of told me. He travels for 6 to 7 months out of the year, and some years I get to go along to one event that he competes at, but I mean, all the other times I'm basically here grinding away, doing my job. So it's definitely not been easy for us in these last 4 years. We thought we'd start from how we met and then how we got here. Still both living, which is good.
Yeah, so I guess we were trying to work it out the other night, but I think what happened was either one of us slid into each other's DMs back.
Either one of us.
Yeah,
Let's elaborate.
I think it was probably me who slid into Rosie's DMs down the line, and I started...
Actually, sorry, not slid into the DM, slid into the Snapchat when Snapchat was still hot and happening.
It's so funny to say that. Yeah, so when Snapchat was still really apparent, we got talking, and I think it was 2016, right?
It was 2016, yeah.
2016, and we had an event down here in South Africa up the west coast. And I had been messaging Rosie, and I was like, you got to come up the west coast, you got to come. I was already up there, we were doing the event. And of course, Rosie's family was running the entire event. So Rosie's brother I've surfed with it's been like the last 10 years plus. I've known Rosie through the bodyboarding scene, and I know her parents because obviously they were running this event. So I said to Rose, you've got to come up. You've got to make an effort to get to the west coast, to Lambert's Bay. And I was like, we can hang out, we can chat. And I was a super awkward person.
So awkward. So I remember at this event, this is the only year I didn't come up for, I can't even remember the reason. And then I was like, I was kind of feeling it, and I was like, I could. But at the same time, I was also always like, it's never going to work because, at that point, he was living in Durban. He's actually from Durban. So I was like, how are we going to see each other? How are we going to kind of take this a step further? So I was always like, it's never going to go anywhere. So I'll just vibe a little bit, and then it's probably going to just end. But he was super persistent, so I was like, okay, cool, I'll go up. So I went up with my friend, and I remember standing on the beach, and I was like a little bit nervous because I've only ever kind of spoken to you over message. There's never been a time before that where I've been like, hey, I really want to talk to you in person.
I don't think there was a time before that.
Yeah, so. It was so weird. So anyway, I saw him coming towards him. I was like, oh crap, what the hell do I talk to him about? And it was so awkward. He's when you get to know him, he's such a sick person. You open up so much, and
but
if you don't know him, you're like, I don't know about you. Like, I felt like it was such a superficial conversation we had, you know? It was like so awkward.
But I think at that stage too, I was like...
You were in love, yeah.
No,
I knew it.
that wasn't it, no. I think like at that stage, I was just so kind of switched off to being open with people as I am now.
Maybe also relationships, I would say.
Yeah, but I think like my whole thing was I needed to get to know someone before I could actually form a proper relationship.
Yeah.
And back then that was such a big part of like who I was and what I did. So like I was never able to just like break through and just be like, you know, this is me, this is who I am kind of thing.
See, I'm like the opposite. I'm like, from meeting someone I can tell whether I like them or not kind of thing. And like if it had to be like a guy, I could tell like, oh my gosh, I really like him from like first conversation kind of thing. But I was like, whoa, okay, this is a new territory, because I couldn't like, you were so difficult to read.
Yeah.
He was like emotionally like closed off.
Yeah.
And it was like just this like superficial conversation we had, and I was like, did I come up for this? I was like, oh my gosh, okay. But like, it's crazy. Our relationship has moved so quick since then.
Yeah.
So that was when was that? April 2016.
Yeah.
April 2016, and then of course, like, because he's from Durban, he went back to Durban, I think, and you came back down again later.
No, I went up to Durban and then...
Oh no, you didn't.
I stayed here for a bit. I stayed here for a bit, and then we went out to party at Stellenbosch, and that was the first time I think we kissed, I think. And then and then I remember I went back home and I said to you, why don't you come up and hang out? And you were like, well, I don't know, and you were a bit off, and then all of a sudden you were like, yeah, I'll come up. And I was like, whoa, okay, I wasn't really expecting that.
So this is actually so funny. You kind of just dropped this like, why don't you come up and cruise? And I was like, I don't know. Like, first I was like, why the hell would I do that? Like, I've seen you twice, we've spoken a few times, like, I really didn't feel like that confident in like, this is gonna go somewhere great, so I'm gonna make the effort to like fly up to Durban for a guy, and like, I'm not like that. I would never do something like that. But for some weird reason, I was still working at a primary school, and I think it was over, what was it? It must have been Easter.
It must have been Easter, because remember how many eggs Cam had in the freezer.
Oh, true. So it was Easter, so we got some public holidays, and then I even took an extra day off from work, okay? This is how serious I was about this. And I went to my parents, and of course my parents know him, but like don't know him or knew him then.
Didn't know me at that time.
Yeah, at that time. They just knew about him and who he was from surfing events, from Surfing World Tour. And I was like, to my parents, I think, how old was I? 21, because remember I came up.
It was your 21st birthday.
Okay. Yeah. Wow. Anyway, so I had just turned 21 and I'd gone up after that. So that must have been May.
Yeah. It was going into May.
Is that when Easter was?
No.
No, that was another random holiday.
Well, I know that Workers' Day is on the 1st. That's my dad's birthday.
Yeah, but I'm on the
18th. Okay. Well, don't worry about
Okay,
that.
anyway, I don't know. I just went up for a couple of days. But I went to my parents and I was like, hey, I'm going to go up to Durban to see Iain. And they're like, what? Like, everyone was like, what? Are you sure? Like, this is such a weird thing to do. And of course, like, I was kind of like, what if it goes so wrong and I'm like stuck there? Because I was going to stay at his place. So it was like super invasive, it wasn't like I was going up cruising on my own, but like we'd meet up kind of thing. And my brother and his friends were actually up there at that time. Yeah. So I felt like way more comfortable like going, because I knew like if shit hit the fan, I could just be like, hey, Foos, come get me. Like, and it was honestly the craziest thing I've ever done. Like,
yeah.
like for a
But
guy.
I think the thing was too, we were both like, we kind of digging each other's vibe, we're enjoying each other's company, so
But it was also so quick.
yeah, but I think we just were like, let's see if this is gonna work. If it's gonna work, it's gonna work now. If it's not gonna work, then
we were
we'll
both
just cut
like
it
in
out.
that mindset of like, this is gonna be like the deciding thing for us. Like either it's gonna go horribly wrong or it's gonna just be so great and we're just gonna go with it.
And then it just worked. Like I think we clicked pretty good at the start, and we just kind of kept going. And then it was like June, I came back down to Cape Town in 2016, and I said to Rose, like, do you want to start dating? And she was like,
No. How did you ask me out, Ian? Yes, we went on a surf date and he just dropped the bomb. And I was like, wow.
It was sick though.
Sick. Yeah, it was so cool. It was such a cool way.
Favorite beach ever. And
but also the first time I went up to Durban was like, I was not prepared for this at all. I was still like getting to know him, and he's like, hey, we're gonna go around to my mom's house, and I was like, whew, this is moving way too quick. And that's the first time I met your parents, and I even got like a 21st gift from his mom, and I'm gonna just say it, but I think I'm the favorite kid in the family.
No, okay. And then so then I came down in June, asked Rosie out in the water, and then we kind of kept doing trips backward and forward.
Yeah, at that time he was still living in Durban, so I would say for our first like 5 months of actually dating, I saw him maybe 3 weeks out of that.
No, it was more than that. I'd come down here for longer.
Yeah, like a week before you'd fly out.
Yeah, and then...
So that was like really challenging for us.
Yeah,
that was like
tough.
So hard because we haven't like actually spent that time together. And then like he'd be like out of the country, and then when he'd come home he'd fly back into Durban, so I wouldn't see him, but we'd be in the same country, and it was just like so difficult. Tough. And then I think I went up again for, was it December?
Yeah, so December, remember, I decided that in December I bought a car, and I was like so over being in Durban. The friend that I was living with my friend that I was living with had decided that he was going to go onto the ships, and Rosie and I had talked about it, but I was like, damn, I just want to move down to Cape Town. This really felt like the best thing to do, and it felt like a really good move. And at that time, Rosie's grandmother had just passed away, so the flat that we are currently sitting in was vacant. And so her family allowed us to move into here.
Yeah.
And that was in December. So we drove my car with all my belongings, or most of my belongings, down here. And in January I left for Hawaii.
Yeah. So that's kind of been where we are, or where it kind of started for us. But I mean, we've really had like, I wouldn't say the hardest relationship, but like the most challenging.
It definitely hasn't been easy.
In terms of just like you leaving all the time, and like I knew this was what it would be like going into this relationship, and I would never like want it to be any different, because I know this is like Ian's passion and it's his job and everything. But it's so hard when you together for, let's say, a month to 2 months, and then he leaves, like for 2.5 months at a time. Yeah. And we spoke about this the other day, we actually have not spent longer than, I would say, 2 months together.
Yeah, so I think maybe 3 months at most when we went over to Jen.
The absolute most would be 3 months.
So, and that was from November 2018 to January of 2019. That was the longest stint we had spent together. And I mean, that was like 2.5 years into our relationship, and we spent 3 months together as the longest stint. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it hasn't been easy. We've had, I got diagnosed with ulcerative colitis. Rosie, at that stage, was just coming off her anorexia and, getting back to a healthy weight and starting to kind of see changes in her body and getting her hormones sorted out. And my my illness is actually an inflammatory bowel disease that is caused by white blood cells going into the large intestine, which inflames the large intestine and eventually starts to bleed, which we'll get into in another podcast. But we both had our struggles and our issues, and we basically want to help you guys and talk about it, because I think it's quite an interesting topic, or a lot of these are very interesting topics that we're going to get into as it comes from diet or travel or long distance relationship, which is basically what we've got. And we feel that our experiences are something that a lot of people can kind of benefit from and at least will learn from. So basically what we want to do is help everyone and try and help as many people as we can through this podcast and share our story and our journeys with you guys.
Yeah, and we just thought it'd be super cool to just rehash all those things that we've gone through. Because in the last 4 years, seriously, we've had some, as I guess any relationship would, but I feel we've gone through some significant things together. And yeah, I just wanted to share it and put it out there.
So if you guys want to hear more of this, or if you guys have got any other topics that you want to speak about, I suggest you get hold of us. You can either message us on our YouTube channel, which will be going live very soon. Otherwise, you can hit us up on Instagram and we will take it from there. We are super excited to get this started. We've been speaking about this for a few months now, and we basically just want to help you guys out, give you some advice, and just show you a bit about our lives and laugh with Iain and Rosie.
Yeah, so let us know if you have any questions you want us to answer or any topics you want us to cover. And yeah, wish us luck, because we're in lockdown, so we might be spending 6 months together.
Yeah, we don't know how it's going to turn out. So we're hoping to do about one of these every couple weeks.
Yeah.
And, as the topics come in and as we start moving forward throughout the year, we want to actually just get as many videos and as many podcasts done as we can so that you guys will have topics to listen to. So stay tuned, hit us up, and
we'll see you next time.